Oh, most high Christ. I didn't get a notification on my phone, but that's no sweat.
I do.
For the YouTube or for Facebook? Facebook, I make sense, but for the YouTube, I didn't see nothing. No sweat. We're gonna rock it out with what we got. All right, so clap it up. You know what I'm saying? Isupk, Durham, North Carolina. You know what I mean? Monday night history class, police officer, 50-1 holding it down. You know what I mean? Yahweh Bashim, shout out to the brothers. Yahweh Shemal, shout out to the sisters. Isupk, fuck you. Started at 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Under the leadership of the only man who has the authority and who was given the position to do as such, to lead this nation, under the leadership of Commandant General Yohana. You know what I'm saying? 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, 1969 is when it all started. And we're not affiliated with any other Hebrew Israelite organization, group, church, none of that. If you are not in the ISUPK, under Commandant General Yohana, you are not in the truth. We make that loud and clear. You understand? But with that being said, what we got coming up soon, man, the Lord's 51st annual Passover coming up. Right? It's going to be in White Plains, New York. You know what I'm saying? Up there, I think that's, Suffolk County? One of them joints. Up there, you know what I'm saying, going towards upstate. Going to be in White Plains, New York, April 9th. We're going to be rocking it out. Commandant General Yohana has locked down a goddamn stadium. Like a real stadium where, like, teams play. And I ain't talking about the center in your projects. You know what I'm saying? I ain't talking about the community house. I ain't talking about the YMCA. I'm talking about a damn arena for actual teams. You understand? This brother, Commandant General Yohana, has locked that down for us. That's right. So blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians can get together and celebrate, man. The water, brother. And celebrate together. Which is, man, that's something you just don't see. Right. You know what I mean? You just don't see black, you know what I'm saying, Hispanics, Native Indians in one, you know what I'm saying, you go to the park, you know what I'm saying, two moms are going to end up scrapping by the, you know what I'm saying, within 30 minutes. Right. Your son touched my son, or your son touched my son. Something's going to happen. Right. But no, I done been, this would be what? Y'all, this is our fourth? This is our good night, brother. I've known you too long, bro. Yeah, man. Our fourth Passover, man. Yeah. And I have not seen it yet. Last year, niggas was, you know what I'm saying, rolling the dice, man. And you know the dice game is just a bedlam of violence and all kinds of horrible things happen, you know what I'm saying, during or after the dice game. You know what I'm saying? My hip hop has Big L got a song called what? Called what's the name of that joint? Casualties of a Dice Game. You know what I'm saying? Listen to that song and see how dice games usually go. Casualties of a dice game. Well, I seen a dice game happen in the lobby of a hotel last year that ended in nothing but some brother, you know what I'm saying, getting a hefty sum of cash. You know what I'm saying? Because it's lawful to gamble. It's not wrong with it as long as you're not gambling away your rent. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, brothers was Tawab's having a good time, drinking, babies running around. Don't know who the hell, where the parents is at. Because that's usually my first question. I can't stand it. I can't stand when I'm in a public place and babies is running around like, where is the parents? Like, whose child is this? But in that Passover, you don't have to worry about that. Why? Because there was nothing but warriors in the vicinity, man. Right. Warriors and warrior princesses, man, who was gonna make sure that all them babies was Tawab, man. Right. Them brothers, you can go upstairs and get yourself a quick nap. You know what I'm saying? And know that your child is just fine. That's right. You know what I mean? And guess what? Here's the real beauty of it. Matter of fact, this ain't even for the history club. I'm gonna pull it out anyway, Salakia. I'm gonna get Zephaniah 2:1. Right. You know what I mean? Never get tired of that. You mind? I'm saying it's up to you, brother. You got it? Oh, do it. Most high Christ, do it, brother. Give me that real fast, man. Because Commander Johanna did something that completely demonstrates the reality of his position. Your Muslim imam ain't gonna do it. Your fake Israelite deacon or the pastor or the bishop, whatever the hell y'all got over there, is not gonna do this.
That's right.
Go ahead and read that, brother.
The book of Zephaniah, chapter 2 and verse 1. Mm-hmm. Gather yourselves together.
Read on.
Yea, gather together.
The Bible says, gather yourselves together. Meanwhile, a fake Israelite group and every Christian church says that the Isupk, we're divisive. That we're the ones who, we're not brotherly. Imagine. Why? Because we tell the truth.
Right.
The other scripture says what? Have I become your enemy because I tell you the truth? Mm-hmm. I'm paraphrasing, right? But the fact of the matter is, because we tell you you're not in the truth, you shouldn't feel away. We tell you the truth. John the Baptist wasn't in the truth. This man is in the Bible. He wasn't in the truth.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because he acted like he didn't know. When Christ was there, coming right before, but when Christ got there, he was like, he wasn't sure. It's just, I don't know. I don't know. And he still had followers following him. He didn't tell all his followers to go follow Christ. Right? But the fact of the matter is, how are we unbrotherly when Commander Jonah Yohana just said what? There are flyers that I've seen with my own eyes, plastered all over Facebook, telling you, if you are in a fake Israelite group, to come to the Passover.
Right.
But Commander General Yohana is unbrotherly. He's not the real leader. Man, y'all couldn't walk a mile in that brother's shoes, man. Y'all couldn't. Y'all. That's why y'all Israelite groups are the way y'all are. Y'all are nothing but Christian churches, because y'all leaders are not leaders. You know what I'm saying? Like the scripture says, they're just dumb dogs.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They're blind. They cannot bark. Commander General Yohana. That's why your leader's in jail right now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's why your leader is goddamn having to deal with murder charges in his congregation and things with all kind of sexual deviancies and all this garbage, man. And just when you thought it was safe, another fake Israelite group that you thought that one of the ones that they think is more closely to us, I don't know why, they in there courting 15-year-old girls. 40-plus-year-old men, 30-plus-year-old men courting 15-year-olds under the guise of, well, there's nothing sexual happening now. They just courting, and when it's time, they gonna consummate. Huh? Like you couldn't find a 19, 18-year-old brother for that? A 40-year-old man? 30-plus-year-old man? That sounds dangerously like you're attracted to her right now. Like if the law said you could do it, you probably would do it.
Right.
You understand? And this is what your fake Israelite groups are doing. It's discussing Shalom, Sissy, how Shema, it's very wild. You know what I mean? And here in the Isupk, we don't condone any of that garbage. Yet and still, Commander General Yohana has spoken. And he said, you're Black, Hispanic, and Indian, even if you like to wear purple, even if you like to wear red and crimson, even if you like to wear white, you know what I'm saying? You in some group where y'all go out, I don't even know if y'all even street teach, but y'all wear white shirt, white button-ups. You know what I mean? He said, be at the goddamn Passover.
Right.
It's an arena. You got no excuse. It ain't going to be crowded because it seats, 2,000 people or something like that? There's plenty of room, all right? Salaki for my language. Bring your ass to the goddamn Passover and let's end with the foolishness.
Right.
Come back home. It's the home of the truth. Come on back. You know what I'm saying? Come on back. Like the prodigal son. Just return, all right? Now, finish that out.
Oh, nation, not desired.
Right, because we're a nation not desired. You can be all puffed up all you want to be and say, oh well, I'm part of Israelite Church of God and da. Oh, we don't teach that, you know what I'm saying? We don't teach what they teach. No, they teaching you can have more than one wife. See, no, we don't teach that. Right. You know what I mean? We teach that you gotta go to the courts, man. You can be a police officer, you know what I mean? You gotta obey the laws of the. Listen, man, y'all don't understand none of these breakdowns at all. ones that you do got, right? You got from us anyway. You understand? But the Bible said, gather yourselves together what?
O nation, not desire.
No, they like us because we wear purple and we can only have one wife.
O nation.
No, they like us because we wear white shirts and we look decent.
O nation.
Read on.
Not desire.
You're not desired. Nobody gives a goddamn about your goddamn white shirt.
Right.
Nobody cares about your purple dress and your tassels. Nobody cares about your goddamn button-up with the fringes on it. No one gives a damn. You understand? Heathens still hate you, still use and abuse you. Cops still shoot you in the streets. This is the reality of being Black, Hispanic, or Native Indian. You understand? Nobody gives a damn if you're a Hispanic brother in a fake Israelite group with one wife. You're still a dirty wetback, or you know what I'm saying, or a spick. That's what you are to them. Nobody cares that you wear a nice shirt and you've done some work in law enforcement. You're a nigger. That's what they see you as. And you say, well, you know, the UPK brothers, man, you know what? We know, man, they're all brothers, but they're just too aggressive. We don't like how they really.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Good night. I mean, goddamn, like you just think, oh well, if I just it goes, we gonna bring that up today in the history class. Most High in Christ, we're gonna bring out some history on why we have this thing with each other, where we're always trying to out black each other.
Good night. Mm-hmm.
Like I'm a better version of black than you. I'm the kind of black that is, you know what I mean, acceptable. That everyone like. I'm the kind of black that can get a loan.
Right.
I'm saying I'm the kind of black that can get a scholarship. I'm the kind of black that other races want to be around. I'm the kind of black that when they see walk into the movie theater, they don't get nervous. Good night. I'm gonna tell you right now, that doesn't exist. You can come in with a three-piece suit. If you're black and you walk in the movie theater with a bunch of others, with a bunch of oppressors, they're gonna be like, well, goddamn, my night is ruined. You know what I'm saying? You walk in a restaurant, you think you looking just, oh man, you just to the nines. No, they do not want you there in their steakhouse.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Or their Italian restaurant. You know what I mean? They don't want you in there. You know what I mean? You don't swap, brother. But our people really, really kill me. But like I said, Commander General Yohana has decreed. I hate when it happens. He has decreed. Matter of fact, I really don't need it. But I'm scared that if I unplug it, that it'll goddamn. I'm just gonna turn the volume down because that make that crazy sound. If somebody come up and try to just check on Facebook and YouTube, make sure the sound is coming through. Okay. Go on. Yeah, but Commander General Yohana has decreed that all Blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians are to be there. So be there. Most High in Christ. That brother has a level of brotherhood that exceeds all of us. All of us. Most of it's a rare quality to be that good. Yeah, to what? It's a rare quality to have the kind of brotherhood where you are literally willing to overlook. Not saying he's forgotten, you know what I'm saying, because that's not the case at all. But where he's willing to say, well, brothers, we understand what happened in the past, bygones. Let's get this thing right. You know what I'm saying? So Most High in Christ for that. So now, I want to get into, like I said, a topic that is very prevalent to what I just spoke of. And it's in history.
It's like, man,
please.
I know what you said, like, that also is so heavy because it proves that, you know what I'm saying, Commander General Yohana is the rightful man to lead this nation.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because it can't be a brother like Daniel.
Right.
Who has no compassion or empathy for his own people and doesn't know how to forgive.
Right.
And so that, you know, they don't follow the scriptures because even Christ, you know what I'm saying, when people fucked up back then, he even, you know what I'm saying, like with his sister, who was a whore, he was like, hey, listen, yeah, she's a whore, but it's like, he was without sin cast the first stone.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you got nobody other than Isupk knows how to forgive their people.
That's right.
Which is why Commander General Yohana is the rightful man to rule this nation.
That's right, man. Get that brother in hand. Because it's absolutely true. I mean, I've seen it all. I mean, I've witnessed it all. This brother, man, Commander General Yohana, General Hyman brought it out. You know what I'm saying? Like, hit the position that this man holds is the position that he was given.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, this brother never, he didn't try to put himself higher than he is. Right. I mean, you got brothers in your fake Israelite group who call themselves, I mean, one cat called himself the God-sent comforter. I mean, goddamn, like, just straight up told, like, I can't believe that someone fell for this. This man straight up told you that he was like the Holy Ghost in the flesh. And some people bought it. Like, I mean, dude, like, you want to talk about marketing schemes, and this dude is talented when it comes to that. Because how do you tell somebody that I am the Holy Spirit? You know what I mean? And you fall for it. You know what I'm saying? That's crazy. But yeah, Commander General Yohana didn't do that. Commander General Yohana will never ever tell you that he's the goddamn God-sent comforter. Right. He'll never tell you that he's the Holy Spirit in the flesh, walking around. He'll never tell you that. In fact, if you talk to Commander General Yohana in person, which is not a difficult thing because he's a brother, just like any other brother, he's not a superstar where he got, don't get it twisted. I mean, if you don't come corrected, you can't get your head bust, you know what I'm saying? But this is a brother. You can talk to him. You know what I mean? You can get in contact with that man and have a conversation with him. And when you do, you'll find out, and he'll tell you himself, I'm a regular person. Right. Like, I go to the bathroom like everyone else. Right. I get indigestion like other people. Right. I got, you know what I'm saying? I got deal with women like the same way. I'm a brother. Like, right. I'm just a guy. I was just given this office. Yeah, right. And I didn't, what's the word? I didn't drop my sword. I didn't turn my back on my office. You know what I'm saying? But to get into today's topic, now I want to talk about this Willie Lynch letter. Who's familiar with the Willie Lynch letter? Who's familiar with the Willie Lynch letter? Has anyone heard of it? It's very popular or very known, you know. Now, of course, there is some controversy surrounding it. We'll get into that as well. But for the sake of the topic, right? We're gonna discuss it. We're gonna discuss basically the backstory of what the Willie Lynch letter is and how it plays out now. So Salaki, let me just get it on my phone. Salakia, bear with me. All right. So I'm gonna read just the Wikipedia so you can just see like a history of what it's supposed to be, right? So it says the Willie Lynch speech is an Salakia. How could I forget? Real quick, give me written before time. Can't forget about that. I'm gonna read this first though. The Willie Lynch speech is an address purportedly delivered by a certain William Lynch or Willie Lynch to an audience on the bank of the James River in Virginia in 1712 regarding control of slaves within the colony. The letter purports to be a verbatim account of a short speech given by a slave owner, in which he tells other slave masters that he has discovered the secret to controlling black slaves by setting them against one another. This document has been in print since at least 1970, but first gained widespread notice in the 1990s when it appeared on the internet. Since then, this is just what they say about it now. Since then, it has often been promoted as an authentic account of slavery in the 18th century, though its inaccuracies and anachronisms have led historians to conclude that it is a hoax, which obviously is an insulting lie, but nonetheless, we will get into it. Tell me when you got that, brother.
Oh, yeah.
Please read that.
The book of Romans, chapter 15 and verse 4. For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we, through patience and comfort of the scriptures, might have hope.
So the Bible says, whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning. That's why the Isupk and the Commander General Yohana, we approach things the way we do.
That's right.
Right? Because it's important. Because if we don't do it, no one will do it.
Right.
If we don't go back and talk about slavery, you know what your oppressor is going to tell you? Slavery was 300 years ago. Get over it. If we don't go back and talk about Christ was black, you know what your oppressor is going to do? He's going to tell you that Christ was a white man, and you'll believe it, and you'll hate yourself. If we don't go back into the history and tell you how they pushed voting on you, how they pushed homosexuality on you, if we don't go back into the history and tell you the facts about Christmas and Thanksgiving, and that disgusting garbage coming up soon, Valentine's Day. If we don't tell you the truth about those things, you'll believe them and fall right into the trap, spend all your money, and get nowhere. Know nothing about yourself or the truth of your reality. You understand? But the Bible says, whatsoever things were written aforetime, in fact, if I may, Salakia, and if we don't tell you what's going on in the Old Testament, if we don't tell you the truth about the Old Testament, and the truth about the New Testament, and the fact that Christ followed the laws in the Old Testament and taught from the law, if we didn't teach you that, then you would listen to your Christian pastor who tells you the law is done away with. And it doesn't matter. When you never even ask yourself why every time you read the New Testament and you see where it's written in red, which means it's the words of Christ, it says, as it is written. As it is written where? So Christ had a copy of his own, like he had a copy of the New Testament while he's currently like living in that time. He's in the New, it makes no sense. He's quoting the Old Testament. So we have to make sure to go back to that because it's for our learning. So that way we can know who we are, where we came from, about our ancestors. So we can know the prophecies that explain to us why we're in the condition we are today. You understand? So we have to do what this scripture says. Read it from the top, please.
The book of Romans, chapter 15 and verse 4. For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we, through patience and comfort of the scriptures, might have hope.
Right, they were written for our learning so that we can have comfort, man. Through patience, man, of the scriptures, we can have hope because we need it. Because we're living in what? Somebody read my mind. What are blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians living in right now? Not you, mine. What are we living in right now? Hell. Most High in Christ, give her a hand. We are living in hell. We are in hell. Right? Jonah said that he was in hell.
Right.
Was Jonah alive when he said that, or was he dead underground in the dirt, burning up, and Satan was throwing, you know what I'm saying, what they say? With gasoline drawers, and Satan's just putting more coals on you, burning you up. Was that where Jonah was? Where was Jonah when he said that he was in hell? He was in the belly of a what? Of a whale.
Right.
He was alive and well. He had been swallowed up by a whale. I can imagine being in the belly of a whale as hell. It's probably really dark, really scary. It probably smells horrible.
Right.
You're probably like you're constantly thinking like, yo, I'm not getting out of here. Like it's not like you locked in a room that has a lock. Like you are in the belly of a. I mean, we don't know if it was a blue whale, but it was a large animal. Let's just say it was a blue whale. A blue whale is the largest animal, as far as they know, in the history of the world. And these things still exist. As far as they know, this is larger than a dinosaur. And you are in the belly of that thing. Whoever seen Pinocchio? I seen Pinocchio, the old school joint. Geppetto was in the belly of a whale. It didn't look fun at all. Like hell. Matter of fact, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we're living in hell right now in these ghettos. We're suffering while our babies are starving.
Right.
Our babies are starving to death in the projects, in cages. Are you a little 3 or 4-year-old girl, Hispanic girl, Mexican girl, you know what I'm saying, who hasn't eaten in days? You know what I mean? You smell because they won't allow you to shower. And you've been in a cage that's made for like a dog, a kennel, for the past like month. That's hell. Or you're that child's mother wondering, how is my child doing? Is my child crying for me? You understand? That's living in hell. You know what I mean? And so the Bible says that we read the scriptures, we learn about our past, what was written 4 times for our learning, so that we might have comfort. I mean, and we might have hope that we can get out of this hell. You know what I mean? So we're gonna get into this letter, but Neat K, if Jesus died for us, why do we all still go into slavery 1,500 years later? Jesus died for us so that way we didn't all have to die. We went through slavery for 1,500 years later, but yet here Dabawan is, here Mahayar is, here the nation of Israel is still here, the 12 tribes, you know what I'm saying, the Gadites, Reuben, Manasseh, you know what I'm saying, we are still here, like we're alive, but if he hadn't died for us, we'd all be dead, because we were all supposed to die.
Right.
We were supposed to die the same way, and don't act like you're not surprised, like you're surprised, because if I recall, didn't a major flood kill everybody on the planet except 6 people? 8 people. You understand? The nation of Israel was supposed to die. We were supposed to be decimated. You know what I'm saying? On account of our sins. But that did not happen. You understand? That's so like I'm gonna finish this jump right here. So lock it. As far as that breakdown in Hebrews 6:1, I will get back to you on that. I'll write it down. I'll write your name down with it, and I'll get that breakdown to you as soon as I can. I don't have it with me right now. You understand? But as soon as I can, I will get back to you with that breakdown in Hebrews chapter 6 and verse 1, the water for your question. So now, back to this letter. So Willie Lynch, man, was a slave owner, I believe, in the West Indies. And what happened was he was very astute at keeping slaves in line. So much that those who were having trouble maintaining their slaves sought out his services. Now we will get to the whole idea of it being what they say a hoax and such and such and such. We will get to that. But first things first, I want to get into the actual letter. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull it up. Y'all should be able to Google it. It's very easy to find. Just type in like William Lynch or William Lynch letter PDF or something like that. You should be able to locate it. So lock it. Slovakia. All right, so I'm gonna go into it right now. I'm just gonna start reading straight from it. Oh, and also, Mario, when you get a chance, Baba Kushai, just put that in that cup, in one of those cups, and just pass that to me, bro. Yeah, when you get a chance. Just a lot. All right. So it says the Willie Lynch letter, the making of a slave. The water, brother.
Mm-hmm.
The water. Tell Sadak not to bring the Apple version up here anymore. Yeah.
Regular, just fine.
Just the regs. Just regular is fine. You know what I mean? Lord. No sweat. All right, so it says, the Willie Lynch letter, the making of a slave. It says, this speech was delivered by Willie Lynch on the bank of the James River in the colony of Virginia in 1712. Lynch was a British slave owner in the West Indies. He was invited to the colony of Virginia in 1712 to teach his methods to slave owners there. The term lynching is derived from his last name. December 25th, 1712. Gentlemen, I greet you here on the bank of the James River in the year of our Lord 1712. First, I shall thank you, the gentlemen of the colony of Virginia, for bringing me here. I'm here to help you solve some of your problems with slaves. Your invitation reached me on my modest plantation in the West Indies, where I have experimented with some of the newest and still the oldest methods for control of slaves. Ancient Rome would envy us if my program is implemented. As our boat sails south on the James River, named for our illustrious king, whose version of the Bible we cherish, I saw enough to know that your problem is not unique. While Rome used cords of wood as crosses for standing human bodies along its highways in great numbers, you are here using the tree and the rope on occasions. I caught the whiff of a dead slave hanging from a tree a couple miles back. You are not only losing valuable stock by hangings, you are having uprisings. Slaves are running away. Your crops are sometimes left in the fields too long for maximum profit. You suffer occasional fires. Your animals are killed. Gentlemen, you know what your problems are. I do not need to elaborate. I'm not here to enumerate your problems. I'm here to introduce you to a method of solving them. In my bag here, I have a foolproof method for controlling your black slaves. I guarantee every one of you that if installed correctly, it will control the slaves for at least 300 years. My method is simple. Any member of your family or your overseer can use it. I've outlined the number of differences among the slaves and make the differences bigger. I use fear, distrust, and envy for control. Now, let's get into that a little bit. First things first, what is an overseer? So while I'm going through this, I'm going to bring out facts, right? We're going to talk about some facts, right? Because they want to say that it's a hoax or whatever. We'll get to that. But for now, what is an overseer? We know that an overseer was a real thing, right? Shalom, sister. What is an overseer? Or what was an overseer? Anybody? All right. No sweat for time's sake. An overseer would be your modern day supervisor. The supervisor at your slave, who it seems like he has personal stock in the company. Anybody ever had a supervisor like that? Where it's like he's, for lack of a better word, like an a-hole, and he or she is just on you about this and about that, and they just tell you to do this, and they won't. It seems like they are like, if you work for Company X, they are like Company X in the flesh. Meanwhile, they do not own Company X. They do not have stock in Company X. They do not get any special dividends, you know what I'm saying, for cracking the whip on you at Company X. Right? Well, an overseer was basically a person who was employed by a farmer, usually in the case of owning larger plantations, who was tasked with running the daily operations of the plantation. So you might think of it like this. You got a plantation in the deep south, a big one, the large farm. In the middle of that farm, you got the big house, which you have up to 10 to 20 rooms. We're talking about a mansion. This is too much land. We're talking about hundreds of acres. This is too much land for one rich man to cover. It's like, imagine if the CEO of McDonald's had to go to every McDonald's to make sure that everything's going fine. That wouldn't work. Or the CEO of Bank of America, or the CEO of whatever company you can think of has a CEO, it has the person it has the people at the very top. Right. They're too busy doing what they do, CEO stuff. A slave master was too busy doing slave master stuff, right? He might not to say that he couldn't go out there and make sure to see what's going on and make sure of things, but this usually is a very wealthy man. He has wealthy man things to do. He has to go meet with other wealthy people and go shake hands and go see his mother and all that rich people stuff. But in order to run the day-to-day operations, he would hire an overseer or several overseers who 9 times out of 10 would be also white men, right? Who were given the charge of running the day-to-day operations. So you wouldn't normally in those times, it could happen, and I'm not saying it didn't happen, but if you committed a small crime, or you broke something, or they thought you were doing something you weren't supposed to be doing, or you got caught over here doing something, the person who would whip you 9 times out of 10 would be an overseer. It wouldn't actually be the slave master, the person over the entire plantation. Again, this is in the case of a large plantation. The smaller plantation, the slave master is the one who's going to beat you, right? So that's what an overseer is. Now it says, Salakia, in this letter, it says, Salakia, I use fear, distrust, and envy for control. Anything stand out about that? About that phrase? Anybody? I use fear, distrust, and envy for control. Shalom Yahweh. I use fear. This is what the Willie Lynch letter is saying. I use fear, distrust, and envy for control. That doesn't stand out to y'all at all? That don't sound like there's nothing interesting about that? Let me ask you this question. Oh, Salah, let me see. I mean, envy does stand out, the water says. Envy stands out, but I mean, what I mean is, I don't mean the words. Is there anything about the collection of words that's kind of strange? We're talking about 1712. We're talking about slavery. This is Virginia. Deep South, chattel slavery. And this man is purported to have said, he just said that he's not really down with lynchings. He's really not down because y'all losing money, right? But he says, I use fear, envy, fear, distrust, and envy for control. What do those 3 things have in common? For time's sake, I'm going to help you out. Do I have to punch you in the face to make you fear me? No. I certainly don't have to punch you in the face to make you distrust someone else or envy someone else. Fear, distrust, and envy. All of these things are things that you do not have to physically attack someone to make happen. You don't have to. They can be utilized, but someone can fear something that is not a physical threat. Anybody here scared of bugs? Oh, I'm just the only one up here that don't deal with bugs, right? Just me. I'm not Salaki. I'm not scared of bugs. Let me rephrase that. What about bees? You're not scared of bees? Good night, damn. But they like. Oh man, well, y'all some strong warriors and princesses up in here, no sweat. There are many people who are afraid of things that are not necessarily physically daunting to them, that they know won't kill them or really harm them. You understand? But fear is something as to where I mean, Salakia, for myself, I never had to get, when I was a kid, I didn't have to get beatings because I was already afraid. I already had fear. Like my father would just look at me a certain way and I'm like, oh, he's not happy. I don't want to deal with that. That is scary. I'm gonna do the right thing. Salakia. You know what I'm saying? So fear, distrust, and envy. How could you use distrust and envy to control someone? And why would it, the question I'm really asking is, why would it be beneficial to use those things? Why didn't it say the whip? Why didn't it say murder? Why didn't it say a lot of things? Fear, distrust, and envy. What is amazing about those things, man? I can, Salakia, for time's sake, like you said in the beginning, it said they would have control of the slaves for 300 years. Fear, distrust, and envy does not have a shelf life. It does not have a time limit. It doesn't. Fear is something you can teach to your kids. Distrust and envy is something you can teach to your children. And they can teach to their children, who can teach to their children, and so on and so on and so forth, until you have a nation of people who are afraid and who distrust each other and envy each other. You understand what I'm saying? So that's what's interesting about that. These are the tactics this man or this person they claim existed, right, used to control the slaves. I'm going to continue. These methods have worked on my modest plantation in the West Indies, and it will work throughout the South. Take this simple list of differences and think about them. On top of my list is age, but it's only there because it starts with an A. The second is color or shade. There's intelligence, size, sex, size of plantations and status on plantations, attitudes of owners, whether the slaves live in the valley, on the hill, east, west, north, south, have fine hair, coarse hair, or is tall or short. Now that you have a list of differences, I shall give you an outline of action. But before that, I shall assure you that distrust is stronger than trust, and envy stronger than adulation, respect, or admiration. The black slaves, after receiving this indoctrination, shall carry on and will become self-refueling and self-generating for hundreds of years, maybe thousands. Don't forget, you must pitch the old black male versus the young black male, and the young black male against the old black male. You must use the dark-skinned slaves versus the light-skinned slaves, and the light-skinned slaves versus the dark-skinned slaves. You must use the female versus the male, and the male versus the female. You must also have you white servants and overseers distrust all blacks. It is necessary that your slaves trust and depend on us. They must love, respect, and trust only us. Gentlemen, these kits are your keys to control. Use them. Have your wives and children use them. Never miss an opportunity. If used intensely for 1 year, the slaves themselves will remain perpetually distrustful of each other. Thank you, gentlemen. So you see right there, and brother, if you can, Baba Kushah, give me no regard for the young or old. Maya, you get that from me, brother? The what? Come. Salakia. Right? So he's talking specifically about having competition between one another. You understand? It's very interesting, and it's still evident today. Most High in Christ, it definitely is evident today, right? It's literally, which is why some people say what they say about it or whatever. You can't ignore the fact that these things relate perfectly to the situation of blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. We suffer from the things that this document says would be going on for hundreds of years. We suffer from it tremendously. You understand? And we haven't been able to escape it. You understand? So like, bear with me a second. Young and old. You're up. So it says at the end that you have to pit them against each other.
Fierce conflict.
Yeah, that's the one. The water. Go ahead and read that for me, brother.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 50.
Right. Tell me this is not history, man. This is the Bible. This is a Bible prophecy. A biblical prophecy that lines up perfectly with this document, right? Read it.
God. A nation of fierce continents, which shall not regard the old.
They will not what?
So like this, shall not regard the person of the old.
They will not regard the person of the old. It won't matter if you're old, you know.
Nor show favor to the young.
They're not going to show favor to the young. You can get sold either way. We know how it was in the history. We've seen the movies. We've read the books. Whether you was old or young, you can be shipped off, man.
Right. Away
from your family. For all kinds of reasons. You know what I mean? And we read them right now that, listen, you got to pit them against each other.
Right.
You understand? Read on.
Yeah. Verse 51. And he shall eat the fruit of thy cattle and the fruit of thy land.
Right.
Until thou be destroyed.
Until I be what?
Until thou be destroyed.
Until you be destroyed. You can drop that. You know what I'm saying? But it said they're not going to show any favor to the young and the old. In fact, they're going to pit young and old against each other.
That's right.
In fact, they're going to make young hate old and old hate young. We see that today, do we not? I mean, I feel like it's almost like every month it's something about some young rapper hating on some old rapper, or some old rapper hating on some young rapper, and the young rapper is talking about, nigga, you old. Like, you just old. Like, you can't say nothing because you're just old. You know what I mean? The old rapper, like, y'all young niggas, da-da-da. Y'all young niggas is gay. Like, y'all wearing skinny jeans and this and that and this and that. Meanwhile, if you go back and look at what Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5 was wearing, ooh-wee. Cat was spitting rap songs with nipple rings. You know what I'm saying? The streets to pay. You know what I'm saying? Rapping like this with their chest out. You know what I mean? Please,
It's like another thing that get into us with the music, like
right.
They be talking about the music now, how it's so explicit and it's so so vulgar. But it's like back then, niggas was just speaking in code. Like, the kids didn't understand what you can ring my bell means.
Exactly.
Right.
They didn't understand when you can ring my bell meant. I mean, some songs are pretty obvious though. I mean, what's the song? Is the gayest, Salaki, the gayest song ever. I mean, you want to talk about being blasphemous. Hallelujah, it's raining men.
Right.
Good night. What the hell is this? Raining men?
Right.
That sounds like some whore on the weather. Like, raining men?
Exactly.
What does that even mean? You know what I mean?
Right.
Good night. But yeah, they said they're going to have no regard for the old or the young. You know what I'm saying? Salaki, let me read on. Where we at? So let's make a slave. This is what it says. Let me see if I might want to drop down. Right. Okay. We'll start from here. Let's make a slave. It was the interest and business of slave owners to study human nature, and the slave nature in particular, with a view to practical results. I and many of them attained astonishing proficiency in this direction. They had to deal not with earth, wood, and stone, but with men, and by every regard they had for their own safety and prosperity, they needed to know the material in which they were to work. Conscious of the injustice and wrong they were every hour perpetuating, and knowing what they themselves would do. Were they the victims of such wrongs? They were constantly looking for the first signs of the dreaded retribution. They watched, therefore, with skilled and practiced eyes, and learned to read with great accuracy the state of mind and heart of the slave through his sable face. Unusual sobriety, apparent abstractions, sullenness, and indifference. Indeed, any mood out of the common was afforded ground for suspicion and inquiry. Right? Let us make a slave. What do we need? First of all, we need a black nigger man, a pregnant nigger woman, and her baby nigger boy. Second, we will use the same basic principle that we use in breaking a horse, combined with some more sustaining factors. What we do with horses is that we break them from one form of life to another. That is, we reduce them from their natural state in nature. Whereas nature provides them with the natural capacity to take care of their offspring, we break that natural string of independence from them and thereby create a dependency status so that we may be able to get from them useful production for our business and pleasure. Now, brother, if you can, please get me in one of all things, also in Deuteronomy.
In one of all things?
In one of all things, right? Salakia. So, good night. Breaking a horse. Anybody know about breaking horses? Anybody familiar with that process? Y'all gotta, I mean, even if you just know a little bit about how that process goes, I mean, anybody know what that's like? What's the
You talking about the actual horse?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Well, what do you think about?
Breaking the knee.
Oh, well, we're gonna get into that.
Right.
Right? But breaking an actual horse is a process, but what was said in this letter is accurate, right? About taking them from their natural state. So a horse naturally is given the faculties to take care of itself, to run and mate, feed itself.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? To sustain itself with water. You know what I mean? It has all the senses to know where to go and where not to go for the most part. But when a horse is broken, right? Like for example, like I believe, even when it comes to horses that are used for, that are domesticated for horse races or for even just riding a horse, you have to, they say break it. Like a stallion has to be broken first before it can be sent out there in the derby or whatever the hell they call it, right? You have to break it. What does that mean? What does it mean to break a stallion? Were they tying to the horses? Maybe so. I have a general understanding of it. I'm not sure the exact things they do to the horse itself, right? But I've read basically that the point is to build up a dependency between the horse. Please.
Would it be the same thing like, well, how they do like elephants and shit, like put the chain on them?
Right. That's exactly what it is. Similar to that. The point of breaking, they call it breaking because really what you're doing is breaking the horse's spirit. You're breaking his mental, you're breaking down what he thinks he knows about himself.
Right.
Right? In his mind, he's dependent. Like, okay, I gotta eat. I gotta go over there to eat. I gotta go do what I gotta do. I gotta make moves, baby. Like, come on.
Right,
There's life to live. Let's get it going. So the idea of breaking him or her is to change their own thought processes, where they think that you dial back on their independence. You understand? You subtly use the whip. You subtly put them in the stable. You subtly confine them. You know what I'm saying? You make mechanisms to where they can't move. You understand? And then you get on top of them, and then you do things to strong on them. You put the reins on them and all of this, and you hold them back and everything. So that way they start to feel like, wait a minute, I am not in control here. This is not my life. This is not me choosing to do this.
Right.
You make them associate their independence with pain. If I do what I want to do, it's going to hurt.
Right.
But if I do what old boy over here tells me to do, or seems to be gesturing for me to do, all is well. I get food when I want. I get, you know what I'm saying? To the point where at the end of it, the horse thinks he can't get food without you. He can't drink without you. He literally can't move without you. Like, it'll be like, he gotta be there. Wait a minute, I'm not doing nothing until old boy gets over here. Until he has a nice seat, paws on my back, and we can go make some moves.
Right.
That's why it's called breaking them. Right? You're breaking down their mental capacity. You're breaking down their self, you know what I'm saying, their understanding of themselves. Right? And that's why he says in this article, in this letter, we will use the same basic principle that we use in breaking a horse, combined with some more sustaining factors. You understand? And it says, we break that natural string of independence from them and thereby create a dependency status so that we may be able to get from them useful production for our business and pleasure. Read that, please, brother.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 48. Therefore, shalt thou serve thine enemies.
Shalt thou do what?
Shalt thou serve thine enemies.
No, you're going to be Salaki, you're going to be independent.
Serve thine enemies.
No, you're going to be able to do everything on your own.
Serve thine enemies.
You're going to be free.
Serve thine enemies.
I have a dream.
Serve thine enemies.
The Bible says that the true Jews of the Bible are going to serve their enemies. Right? Somebody tell me who's serving their enemies right now on planet Earth, man. Other than blacks, Hispanic, Native Indians. Don't give me nothing about no goddamn Hamites. They ain't serving their enemies. They over there, they got little militias where they are recruiting 8-year-olds with Uzis and AK-47s. Right? They ain't really, I don't think they're winning, but they got guns and they out there trying to, you know what I'm saying, fight somebody. They call them rebels. Same thing over there in the Middle East.
Right.
They trying, you know what I mean? They not just serving, they trying to fight something. You understand? But who is sitting just praying that somebody will save them? With no manpower whatsoever. No military. None. No military to speak of. No guidance. No nation. You want to give me some damn Hamites and talk about how they beast the burden or whatever the hell, and they going through this and some what they call them, blood diamonds. But they still in whatever the hell disgusting Hamite country they come from.
Right.
That's still it ain't nice, it ain't pretty, but that's their land.
Right.
That's it. They just let some other heathens came over there and took over. But tell me who's in a land that's not theirs. You tell me who's lost.
Right.
You tell me. Go ahead and ask Victor Oladipo and something Antetokounmpo and Blasey Blas. You know what I'm saying? Give me some more Hamite names. Kunta Kinte. You know what I mean? Give me what's that black Idi Amin and them cats. Like you ask them where they from, they're gonna be like, I am from Ghana. Nigeria is my home. They're gonna tell you straight up where they come from. They're gonna even tell you the tribe. Like, yes, I am Yoruba. I am Igbo. Right. They're gonna tell you what, you know what I'm saying? Like the actual tribe they come from. Yada yada yada. You ask a nigga where you come from. Compton.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Where you from? Harlem.
Right.
Durham. Raleigh. You know what I'm saying? Where you from? Maryland. You know what I'm saying? Chicago.
Right.
Yeah, they ain't naming some country or some tribe. You know what I mean?
That's right.
It took the Isupk in 1969 to let us know, wait a minute, we from the tribe of Judah.
Right.
We from the tribe of Ephraim. We from the tribe of Manasseh. Reuben. You know what I'm saying? Gad. We had to learn that. Right? But you ask the average black Hispanic Indian, they don't know where the hell they come from. You know what I'm saying? Ask the Hispanic where he come from. I'm from Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico, that's a white language.
Exactly.
Spanish is a white language. It's European. Portugal, Spain, all of that. That's all Edomites. You understand? That's not your nation. You know what I mean? Because you damn sure don't look like Antonio Banderas. You don't. You don't look like Penelope Cruz. You a little on the dark side. You know what I'm saying? If I may. Not the dark side like you evil, saying Star Wars. You know what I'm saying? But y'all, brother, you ever seen some of these Puerto Rican cats like Tego Calderon and, you know what I'm saying? Go look up some of them old cats. Celia Cruz, Mongo Santa Maria be black as me.
Right.
Talking about I am black. Get the hell out of here. Are you crazy? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, the 12 tribes of Israel are black. Blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians. We all black. We all Hispanic. We all Native Indian. You understand? That's what it is. You know what I mean? But you read that from the top.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemy, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst.
In what?
In hunger.
Oh man, we gotta get some food. Where we gotta go? to the oppressor to get it. You know you ain't got no goddamn farm in your back. Stop watching Baby Boy. You don't got no tomatoes growing in your backyard.
Right.
Read on.
And in thirst.
And even if you do got some, then you can't really sell them. Somebody, if you try to, somebody's gonna be coming in there. You're gonna have some government official coming knocking on your door talking about, hey, so we got word that you're growing some crops or whatever, so we're gonna need you to put a halt on that for now.
Right.
In hunger and in thirst. You thirsty, you know you're going to get some Dasani or some Poland Spring. You know what I mean? That's where you're going to get it. Some of us, you know what I mean? Not all of us grew up, but some people got a spring by their house, right? Some people got one. Some people lived in like remote parts where there's like an actual spring. I thought it was only in books. A spring. And they went down to the creek or whatever the hell it is. And they took the bottles and they went and got some water, Most High in Christ. But again, if you're doing that, if you just one person doing that, then yeah. But go ahead and try to do that and provide water for the whole state or city.
Right.
Hell no. Because if it was that easy, then goddamn, is it Flint? No, Flint, Michigan? Mm-hmm. Flint, Michigan wouldn't be drinking straight up, I mean, brother. It looks like goddamn beef stew coming out of the faucet. It's like brown. Still. This has been going on for years. Good night. So if you even want to drink, like you would think, water. The earth is made up of 75% water. But you cannot even get like edible, drinkable water unless you go to your oppressor. Right? And that's why in this letter, what he said, whereas nature provides them with the natural capacity to take care of their offspring. Take care of your offspring is what? Clothes, food, shelter, water. We break that natural string of independence from them and thereby create a dependency status so that we may be able to get from them useful production for our business and pleasure. Read it from the top, brother. While I drink, what is this? Niagara. Purified drinking water. With the goddamn, these two Edomite Salakia hoes from Frozen on the side of the damn bottle. You see this? This is right. This is what I'm talking about right here. Right. You don't see two sisters on the bottle. You know what I mean? I'm not drinking UPK purified drinking water. I mean, I wish we did. If we can work on that, me and Most High Christ, and we can get that'd be too hard. Right. But for the most part, when you want some water that will not make you croak by the end of the night, or put you in a hospital, right, you damn gotta go to, because you know niggas don't own no bottling companies. Niggas don't make plastic. Right. You understand? You gotta go to the oppressor. Read it from the top.
You go to Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things.
And in want of what?
All things.
Some things.
All things.
A couple of things.
All things.
In want of all things. Everything you want, you got to see the other nations. Listen, if you are a Chinese man and you really, 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 really want a job, you can go to China, man. You can go over there and work for other Chinese people. You can do it. You know what I'm saying? If you're Russian, if you're Lebanese, or whatever kind of thing you can think of. But even if you're a black man and you go work for a black-owned company, who does that black-owned company pay taxes to? Exactly. You understand? Straight up. Somehow, some way, everything you do. That's why the scriptures say in want of all things. Everything you do, you have to go through it. Can't avoid it. Any more on that?
God.
Read on. And
he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck.
He shall put a yoke of iron, man. We're talking about slavery right now. This was from 1712. You shall put a yoke of iron on your neck. You understand? Literally put that joint that we see, right? Yeah. That joint that we see with the four stalks, right? I forgot what it's called. I always forget, right? But there was different ways. There was many different ones. It wasn't just one. There was many different versions of it. But they would put that on your neck when they would stroll you into the town or whatever. It was to just make it difficult for you to move and make it difficult for you to escape and things like that. Or you get caught in bushes and all kinds of foliage. Understand? But on top of that, he also put a metaphoric yoke, man. Has anybody ever been in a chokehold? A strong chokehold. Like, has anyone ever been in a chokehold and thought to themselves, like, yo, I hope this brother's brotherly. I hope that he really doesn't plan on hurting me seriously, because if he don't let go, I am not getting out of this. If you've ever been in something like that, you know not only is it painful, you know what I'm saying, it is like, my brother uses the example, man, if a goddamn 500, 600 pound person sit on you while you're on the floor,
right? Guess
who's not going nowhere? You.
Exactly.
You're not moving. You understand? So a yoke of iron is like, yeah, I can put you in the yoke. I can put you in the choke, but I'm not made of iron, right? A strong enough brother will get up out of that, right? But a yoke of iron, no matter how strong you are, that's how niggas talk. I'm putting an iron yoke on you. Like, it's that strong. You are not escaping this. And when it says that, oh, your yoke of iron on your neck, it's talking to a nation of people, man.
Right.
It's talking to the 12 tribes of Israel, blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians. We still got a yoke of iron on our neck right now.
Right.
Man. Because if we didn't, we would have been up out of this situation. But what did Willie Lynch say? He said for 300 years, he said for hundreds of years, because I'm going to use these tactics, right? So we're going to read on. Any more on that, brother?
Yes, a little bit more.
Count, please.
Until he had destroyed thee. Let's say on that.
Count, they have destroyed thee, right? This is what we're reading about right now. Historical documents, right? And for argument's sake, again, I might have to save it for next week, but when we get into the politics of whether or not the letter is real, the fact of the matter is, even historians put the letter at least 50 years ago. The ones who want to say that it's fake and a hoax, they date it to the 70s or 60s. That's still 50 years ago. Now you tell me it's fake, because black people are still dealing with this crap. You understand? Salakia. Cardinal principles for making a Negro. For fear that our future generations may not understand the principles of breaking both of the beasts together, the nigger and the horse, we understand that short-range planning economics results in periodic economic chaos. So that to avoid turmoil in the economy, Salakia, it requires us to have breadth and depth in long-range comprehensive planning, articulating both skilled, sharp perceptions. Salakia. Salaki. I'm going to get to a certain part. Right. It says, neither principle alone will suffice for good economics. All principles must be employed for orderly good of the nation. Accordingly, both a wild horse and a wild or nature nigger is dangerous even if captured. For they will have the tendency to seek their customary freedom, and in doing so might kill you when you're asleep. You cannot rest. They sleep while you are awake, and are awake while you are asleep. They are dangerous near the family house, and it requires too much labor to watch them away from the house. Above all, you cannot get them to work in its natural state. Hence, both the horse and the nigger must be broken. That is, breaking them from one form of mental life to another. Keep the body, take the mind. In other words, break the will to resist. Now, the breaking process is the same for both the horse and the nigger, only slightly varying in degrees. But as you said before, there's an art in long-range economic planning. You must keep your eye and thoughts on the female and the offspring of the horse and the nigger. A brief discourse on offspring development will shed light on the key to sound economic principles. Pay little attention to the generation of original breaking, but concentrate on future generations. Okay? Therefore, if you break the female mother, she will break the offspring in its early years of development. And when the offspring is old enough to work, she will deliver it up to you. for her normal female protective tendencies will have been lost in the original breaking process. For example, take the case of the wild stud horse, a female horse and an already infant horse, and compare the breaking process of the two captured nigger males in their natural state. A pregnant nigger woman with her infant offspring. Take the stud horse, break him for limited containment. Completely break the female horse until she becomes very gentle, whereas you or anybody can ride her in comfort. Breed the mare and the stud until you have the desired offspring. Then you can turn the stud to freedom until you need him again. Train the female horse, whereby she will eat out of your hand, and she will in turn train the infant horse to eat out of your hand also. What does that sound like? What does that sound like?
Making the horse be obedient.
Definitely. That Shalom says. It is definitely making the horse be obedient. But what is the, like, take it, that's like the surface. Go a little deeper. Go a little, Shalom says. Shalom. Go a little deeper with it, right? You're making the horse be obedient, right? But there was something else that was said. What does making the horse be obedient do? Please.
It allows you to be able to tame it to ride it. Otherwise, you can't ride the horse if you can't get it to take
True. True, but I'm gonna read this part again so you weren't here. Y'all weren't here when I said this or when I read this part. But I'm gonna read the original.
Come.
Okay. So it says, Salakia, completely break the female horse until she becomes very gentle. Whereas you or anybody can ride her in her comfort. Breed the mare and the stud until you have the desired offspring. Then you can turn the stud to freedom until you need him again. Train the female horse, whereby she will eat out of your hand, and she will in turn train the infant horse to eat out of your hand also. So what is being said here? Please.
You're breaking them in a sense. You're making them allowing them to be able to trust you and depend on you. So
Absolutely.
you take the horse and put them in a dependent situation.
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely true.
without that,
But what's so dangerous about it, right? Because you're right, you are breaking the horse.
because normally a horse is naturally wild.
Mm-hmm.
So because it roams the earth wild, then you, in order to be able to ride a horse, to be able to feed a horse, to be able to get it to pull a haul, you got to break the horse.
Absolutely.
But otherwise, it won't take orders.
Right, you're absolutely right. I'm trying not to give it to you. What you're saying is on it. But that's dangerous for that horse. But I think I gave it to you. But what made it that much more dangerous? What was just said? Please.
Because once you tame it, then it knows to have an ability to be able to take care of itself.
Right. No sweat. Absolutely true. What's dangerous about it, right? I'm gonna give it to you. What you're saying is correct, but the other part of it was what? It said that the female will eat out of your hand, and then she'll train her offspring to eat out of your hand. So the danger becomes that it is now you don't even have to bother with training the offspring to be a slave. She'll teach you how to be a slave for you. And if I may, this is happening in our society today. Go to, I mean, we all in Isupk, right? I know we got family, we got people we know who are Christian, right? How many have ever heard this? So why are you Christian? Well, that's how I was raised. Well, my mother was Christian. Right. Well, my father was Christian. Well, my grandmother was Christian. Well, it's just that's what we all been my whole life, right? It's generational. So because my mother was a Christian, then I'm supposed to be a Christian. And because her mother was a Christian, and so on and so on and so forth, right? But the thing we're reading right now is about the process of making a slave. And what a coincidence that when it comes to making a slave, it's the same thing. You want to train. I don't want to, and Willie Lynch said it, right? I don't want to train it so it's a slave. I want to make it think that being a slave is better for it, to the point that it'll teach its offspring how to be a slave, right? The docility in the black male today, I mean, Salakia, but brother, all of these brothers out here mean, and I'm not trying to, they my brothers, right? But being raised by a black woman alone has got to be the most dangerous thing possible. It is, it's worse than having a crackhead daddy. It's worse than that. It's worse than having a junkie father, an abusive father, like that beats everybody. Like, I'm not saying that that is good. What I'm saying is being raised by women has the things we seeing on the internet now. I know y'all done been on Facebook. Y'all go to the Grammys, you go to this award, and it be some dude, some popular black male in a straight up onesie. What's the dude's name? He is the flamingest flame I've ever seen in my life. He's like a blue flame. Like, it's like the hottest flame ever. He is super gay. What's his name? Billy Porter. How is he even famous?
For being gay.
Like, he's the water. Give her a hand, please. He literally is famous for being OD gay. Not anything else. Has anybody, seen him act?
I've seen him act one time, but he was gay in that movie too.
Of course because I know he ain't, because he's not a real actor. So you're not gonna see a movie where he's gonna be like a straight man. You know what I'm saying? You'll see a straight actor in a role. He has to play a role with, bro. Like, there's no way. Please.
Like, and it's just like big thing on what you said, like, and then black women pay for him the most. Like, you say anything about him, it's like, y'all just hate, like, let this man, like what?
Why? And I mean, I don't know this man's personal relationship with his mother. I don't know that. But I bet you that, like you said, he gets more support from middle-aged black women than probably any other type of people. Because obviously black men is not sitting up here in droves like, oh, let's cape for Billy Porter, right? It's black women, right? Please.
Salakia, sir, but these days, I don't know what it is. There's black men starting to become like the black woman as far as this concerned.
But who taught black men how to be black women?
Black women.
Black women. I mean, it's to the point where you see like gay white men act like gay black men, acting like black grandmothers. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy. But that's the reality of it. Because Salakia, we're gonna read it in the letter. We're gonna read about exactly what it's saying. Like, I train the woman because the woman is the key for me not ever having to do anything else. If I can just get her to feel dependent on me, and like her enslavement is actually a benefit to her and her child, I'm good, please.
It's interesting that you say that, because if you're watching it, like Roots, for example, they trained the mothers to be able to even make the house nigga in a sense.
Right.
Because they needed the woman to be able to depend on the master,
Right.
And they would sell off the father after he done breeded children for him, and then you go sell him to another plantation. Right. And you keep the woman and his children.
Exactly.
Just so you can have complete control, because if the father's in the home, then it's a different type of control.
Right. And there's no coincidence now. That's what we read about, right? They try to say that William's letter is fake. If whoever faked it is a genius. It ain't. But I'm saying this is what they claim. They use like certain linguistic things that it's supposed to be written in 1712, and they'll say, well, that vernacular wasn't really common in 1712, so it's very unlikely. Listen, be that as it may, right? Let's for argument's sake, let's just say it wasn't written. This is still a supposedly 50, 60 plus year old document that is ringing true. If it's so fake, then why is it being more and more realistic every time I read it? Why is every this letter, it seems to be it's not losing validity. It's not like, see, it can't be real because look what it said. That's not true. That's not going on. No, it's getting worse. Like the sister, please.
Really came from taught, and the way he spoke was completely different from the Americanized. English. So that's why I don't understand how they could say that the vernacular is improper.
It's a few. It's you know what it is. That's one thing I wanted to bring out as well. First off, give me Mario. You got an apocryphal? Give me never trust thine enemy. Please give me that. I'll be damned if I'm going to let my enemy tell me what to believe and what not to believe. If I rely on them, if I assume they're going to be honest about their own history, then I'm gonna be in a world of trouble. Because if I have to rely on them, then I have to believe that Jesus was a white man. I have no choice. If I relied on them, I have to believe that the real Jews are not black. You understand? If I had to rely on them telling me what's what, you know what I'm saying? You got it, brother? Mario? Please read.
The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 12 and verse 10. Never trust thine enemy.
Never what?
Never trust thine enemy.
No, he's always going to tell you the truth.
Never trust thine enemy.
No, you got to go to him because he's going to look out for you.
Never trust thine enemy.
You know what?
For like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness.
Right, drop that. As iron rusteth, so is his wickedness, man. You can never trust your enemy. Your enemy, listen, I remember when the movie Django came out, right? When that movie came out, we're not going to get into the details of the plot, but when the movie came out, obviously, is there anybody in here who has not seen Django Unchained? I don't want to spoil it. Well, I watch it at least once a week.
That's a movie.
Most High in Christ. Obviously, there's a scene. The scene when Django and Dr. Schultz first, they're not at Candyland yet, but they first go to meet Calvin Candy, and they go to the little house thing or whatever. And what's happening upstairs when they go upstairs to meet Calvin Candy for the first time? Please, Mario. A Mandingo fight. When that movie came out, do you know that articles were released saying that was not true? There were articles being released saying that That's what articles said. That's what they said. That's not true. First of all, there is documented history on it, for one. Right. And number two, if I had to wait for there to be documented evidence of every goddamn dice game in the history of dice games, then as far as I know, there never was a dice game. Have you ever been to a dice game where there was a brother on the side like, hold on, wait a minute, let me take notes to make sure that everybody knows that this dice game on the corner of 125th and 6th took place? No. Mandingo fighting was an underground enterprise. Please.
Have you ever seen Uncle Tom's Cabin?
I have not.
You should watch that movie. But it's one of those movies where it shows how they had different plantations did different things, because you had plantations that they considered zoos where they were teaching male boys how to be homosexual, and different things of that nature, and including breeding just particularly for Mandingo fighting. Right,
Most High in Christ, the water, because that is true.
That was
very true.
Woman who was doing her research. She was doing research.
Harry Beecher Stowe.
Yes, she was doing research about slavery, and that was one of the movies that they wrote a movie based off of the book she wrote.
Right. The fact of the matter is, this was the part of the social construct of America since its inception. Slavery was not being documented every day because it was just the way it was. Like reporters didn't say, "Oh man, they got some slaves. Let's go ask them." No, it was slavery. Like, it's just what it is. It's no different than Salakia, if I may, the slavery that you go to today. You work for whatever company you work for. When you work for, would have been like working for Calvin Candy. Oh yeah, I'm from the Candy plantation. I'm from the Jones plantation. Oh yeah, I'm Master Charlie. That's I'm on the Charlie plantation. Not to say that they weren't aware of their condition as chattel slaves, they were. However, the idea that, it was a spectacle at the time that people know, it was the way of life. And like you said, since brought out to Wild Point, every plantation wasn't the same. Why? Because it's being ran by different business owners. The business practices at, goddamn Tesla are not the same as the business practices at Apple or the business practices at McDonald's damn sure ain't the same as the business practices at Burger King. Do they serve the same? They're about making money, but they do different things. Every cotton plantation isn't the same, and of course, every cotton plantation. It wasn't just cotton that we were picking; we were also picking sugarcane. If you were a farmer, like a successful farmer in that time, you more than likely had slaves. There were slaves in New York City. I don't know if people know that, right? There were slaves in New York City. There were slaves in Boston. There were slaves all throughout New England or the Northeast, right? But there was no cotton plantations. That's not what they were used for. They were used for other things. They were used to help in other ways. It was still slave labor. You understand? So the water for that, sister, that's absolutely true. You understand? So when we get back to the thing about the Mandingo fighting, it wasn't something that they were gonna go out of their way to say, oh yes, there was a Mandingo fighting. No. It was two rich slave owners with OD crazy amounts of money. Like, yo, I bet you $10,000 that mine can beat the shit out of you. And they're like, I'll take that bet. There you got Mandingo fight. That's it. That's all it is. You understand? And it's no different when it comes to this letter. They want to say this fake or whatever. Listen, again, more than likely that is an absolute lie. But what you cannot deny is the validity of what it's saying. You cannot deny that black people are suffering from all of the things in this letter. You understand? Y'all follow what I'm saying? Like all the things about, we'll get into it now, about pitting black women against black men, about using black women to instill fear in their children. You know what I'm saying? That's just the reality of the situation. Now, Salakia. Brother, was there more what you had, Mario? No sweat. Now, the breaking process. Salakia. Yeah, this is the part I really want, and then, like I said, we might even go through the next part next week. No, Salakia. Train the female horse whereby she will eat out of your hand. And she will in turn train the infant horse to eat out of your hand also. When it comes to breaking the uncivilized nigger, use the same process, but vary the degree and step up the pressure so as to do a complete reversal of the mind. Take the meanest and most restless nigger, strip him of his clothes in front of the remaining male niggers, the female and the nigger infant, tar and feather him, tie each leg to a different horse faced in opposite directions, set him afire, and beat both horses to pull him apart in front of the remaining nigger. The next step is to take a bullwhip and beat the remaining nigger male to the point of death in front of the female and the infant. Don't kill him, but put the fear of God in him, but he can be useful for future breeding. Now, tell me what's interesting about what we just read. Historically speaking, what's interesting about everything we just read? Is everything we just read factual? Please.
Even today, they still they beat the mill, pull them out of the home, and everything like that. They look for the biggest one to take down, just so they can, make an example of how everybody else would follow.
That is an absolute fact, right? Everything that just said, tarring and feathering, is a documented historical practice. Quartering, that it didn't even say the word, but that's what that was called. Tying a person to four horses, making them go in different directions to pull them apart. It's called quartering. Obviously, quarter once before, right? This is a documented thing that occurred. It's not fake. It's not made up. It's not hoax. This is something that they did as a tactic. It's a tactic to completely destroy any image of resilience. Mahayar, get me strongman. Yes, please get me that. The water, brother. Right? They knew the Bible. And the Bible tells you, right, how a strong nation loses their seat. Please read that, brother.
The book of Mark, chapter 3, verse 27.
Now, we remember that in this letter, we're reading the actual letter. It says, take the biggest, meanest nigger and do this to him. And then take the next biggest one and beat him to the point of death. Strip him naked in front of his woman and his child. But don't kill him. He can be useful later. Read that.
The book of Mark, chapter 3, verse 27. No man can enter into a strong man's house.
Wait, so who? What man?
No man.
No, there's just a really strong man can do it.
No man.
No man can do it. Read on.
Can enter into a strong man's house.
No man can enter into a strong man's house. The black man is the strongest man on earth.
Right.
You understand? Blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians, man. Black women are the strongest women on earth. The 12 tribes of Israel are stronger than everybody else. How do we know that? Please.
You can look just today, just athletics alone,
Mm-hmm.
and you can see the difference between a black man and a white or Indian.
Absolutely. Tell me why is there not an Elamite as the fastest man in the world? Please.
Because we just saw it there.
Because we give her a hand. We are so why is the fastest man on earth not some Russian dude named, you know what I'm saying, Moskov or something like that? Why is the fastest man on earth a 6'6" nigga from Jamaica? Even though I think he just lost, but he lost to another black man, but still. Right. Why whenever the Olympics come around and the goddamn, what is it, 10 meter, which one is it that Usain Bolt is in? Is it 100 meter? What is it? 100 meter. He won 100, what is a meter? I mean, I know what it is, but like, how far are they running? They're running it up, wait a minute. Nah, that's not possible. It ain't a mile, how is it gonna be a mile? Because like the fastest times be like 10, like 9 point something. Okay, still crazy. 100 meter dash, and you and we all know what we watching it for. You know what I'm saying? You were there to see black people dust everybody during the qualifiers. Is the only time you see another nation, right? You'll see like some Chinese dude, right? Go, and he still loses. Like he still looks crazy. You know what I'm saying? He's still like number 10 in the first qualifying round. And Usain Bolt just be like barely trying and smoking everybody. And the sisters too. Like, it'd be like an 18-year-old college black girl running faster than everybody out there. Please.
Simone Biles and gymnastics.
Right, in gymnastics. They tried to make, back in the day when they had, they loved them. They always said the Russians and all them, you know what I'm saying, Edomites. And what's the one that she like broke her leg when she like did the move? I forgot her name. She like did a move and like messed up her leg and she still won. I forgot. But they love to hype them all up. But listen, the most decorated gymnast in the history of the world is Simone Biles. I didn't even know who she was until that Olympics. And they're already like, yo, she's the most decorated. I'm like, wait, where have I been? She got more medals and gold and everything than everybody in the history of the Olympics. She's a beast. Who's the greatest female athlete of all time? Please. Serena Williams. You could argue, I wouldn't do it. You could almost argue that she's the greatest athlete of all time. I wouldn't do it, but there's an argument to be made. Right? We are the salt of the earth. And when it comes to athletics, when it comes to strength, the black man is stronger than everybody on the face of the earth. And the Bible says what? When Jacob and Esau were born, what did it say? The elder shall serve the younger, and the younger shall be stronger than the older, right? Right? And Jacob came second. He was stronger than his brother. He was prophesied to be stronger than his brother. Maha, y'all read that, brother? Salaki.
The book of Mark, chapter 3, verse 27. No man can enter into a strong man's house and spoil his goods.
No man can enter into a strong man's house and spoil his goods. He can't rob him.
Right.
He can't rob that man of his goods. He can't take what's his. Read on. Except, so there is a condition. No man can do it. No man can spoil a strong man's house unless, read on.
He will first bind the strong man.
And he has to first do what?
Bind.
He has to first bind. What does it mean to bind? Please. To tie up, right? To tie up or to constrict. Read on.
Yeah. And then he will spoil his house.
Right. You cannot spoil, you can't rob a strong man unless you bind him up first.
Right.
Unless you get him up out of there first. You constrict him first. You take away, because when you do that, what are you doing? What is the scripture saying? Please.
I'm not sure what the scripture says, but you're taking away the protector of the household.
That is exactly what the scripture is saying. Give her a hand. The scripture is saying that the strong man can protect his house. You can't spoil his house if he's there because he's strong. I mean, brother, have y'all seen these killers in the UPK? Am I telling lies? Am I making something up? Some of these brothers, I mean, were strong before they got in the UPK, but I mean, damn, you take a nigga that's already a goddamn stone cold killer, you introduce him to Commanding General Yohanan, you give him some law, statutes, and commandments, and now he's a righteous killer.
That's right.
The same spirit, the same mentality, but now he has the mentality of a black man who wants to save black people, not destroy them. You understand? You can't destroy, you can't rob his house, you can't spoil his goods unless you bind him up. So Willie Lynch devised a plan to bind up the black man in the, that's why he said earlier in the letter, he said what? Destroy the mind and keep the body. Destroy the mind. Because if I destroy their mind and I keep their body, I need their bodies to work, right? I can't kill them because I need my cotton fields and my sugarcane fields and all of my crops to grow. I need them. This is mass production. That's why this is why blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans work menial jobs now. Like now, in 2020, every person you know who works in a factory, every person you know who works on some kind of assembly line type thing, something where they mass produce anything, or they work at McDonald's. No matter where they work in that situation, that comes from slavery. It comes from a revolution. It comes from the Industrial Revolution where they were obviously starting to be able to produce more in quicker amounts of time. But I can't do that without a labor force that is directly congruent with my ability to make more. If I have 100 acres of crops and just me, the hell? I mean, I'll do it, but it'll take me 20 years. But if I got a fleet of niggas, and not only do I have a fleet of niggas, but I have also the psychological ability to make sure that not only are these going to be slaves, but their children's will be slaves. I'm going to be rich. Please.
It's interesting that you said it because I remember when I was like 17, I worked at Olive Garden, and all the bussers were Hispanic, all the cooks were black, all the servers were black or Hispanic. You had a few white people, but all the white people were in charge of all the black people.
Right, that's how it is. I remember this from my time. I spent a little time working at a well-known, let's say, parcel service. You know what I'm saying? Like they deliver packages and mail. Take your pick, whichever one you want to pick. But the one I'm thinking about, they got brown trucks, right? So, and me being, you know what I'm saying, I'm removed, I've been out of college and everything, and I'm like, well, let me just try to just be a regular laborer. Let me try this. And going there, and one thing that struck me as strange, right, was that mind you, if you've ever been in one of their facilities, right, whatever the temperature is outside, that's what it is inside, but times 1,000. It's hot outside, it's crazy hot inside. It's cold outside, it's crazy cold inside. Because it's all metal and all that, right? Everybody in there was black or Hispanic. When I say 90% of the low-level, entry-level package handlers, the labor force, the people scanning things, at the lowest level, most of them were black and young. And yeah, some older gentlemen and sisters too, right? But then all of the supervisors, like the majority of the supervisors were all Edomites. You know what I'm saying? And that just struck me as strange. And then what really struck me as strange is and I tell this all the time, how they would talk to them. How there would be a young brother. I would walk to because I worked in the E-reg, so I was like kind of in like an open space picking up heavy stuff. And I would walk past the trucks where they scan the boxes inside the trucks, and I would see some oppressor yelling at a 17-year-old kid, like, "You gotta move faster, man! You gotta move faster! You want to up? Let's go! Let's go! Let's go!" And I say, "Yeah, not for Dabi. I'm out. Dabi one is out. I'm going. I'm done. I'm done." And I'm not doing this, right? But that stuck with me because I would see that consistent. And it happens today for the same reason why it happened back then. You understand? It's no different. It's all the reason why the majority of wealth is in their hands is because it started in their hands from back then. You understand what I'm saying? So that's what that is. So now we're going to finish this part. We're not going to be able to finish the whole letter today, but no sweat. But I wanted to definitely read this part. The breaking process of the African woman. I want y'all to pay close attention to this. Some of you have heard this before. If you haven't, well, man, listen to this. Take the female and run a series of tests on her to see if she will submit to your desires willingly. Test her in every way because she is the most important factor for good economics. If she shows any sign of resistance in submitting completely to your will, do not hesitate to use the bullwhip on her to extract the last bit of resistance out of her. Take care not to kill her, for in doing so, you spoil good economics. When in complete submission, she will train her offsprings in the early years to submit to labor when they become of age. Understanding is the best thing. Therefore, we shall go deeper into this area of the subject matter concerning what we have produced here in this breaking process of the female nigger. We have reversed the relationship in her natural uncivilized state. She would have a strong dependency on the uncivilized nigger male, and she would have a limited protective tendency toward her independent male offspring, and would raise male offsprings to be dependent like her. Nature had provided for this type of balance. We reversed nature by burning and pulling a civilized nigger apart and bullwhipping the other to the point of death, all in her presence. By her being left alone, unprotected, with the male image destroyed, the ordeal caused her to move from her psychological dependent state to a frozen infant. She will raise her male and female offspring in reverse roles. Somebody tell me what that means. So, like, you know what? Please.
So, like, it's the same thing that they were saying just about the horse, teaching you, like they said, she's the most important economics because, you know, the mother is considered the nurturer. So she's the one that's doing most of the raising because the father is out of the home doing whatever the slave master wants him to do. So she's in there dealing with the infants and the children. So once you break her, then she's not going, because she doesn't want that beating or whatever it may be, she teaches her children, male and female alike, to be able to follow her orders as proper as to the T as possible. You know, she teaches them how to walk, how to talk, what they need to say, what type of job skill they need to have. She directs every single bit of that to be able to make sure that they are productive for the slave master.
Shalak. Most High Christ. That's absolutely true. But again, the thing that's like crazy, right? What you're saying is so on it, right? Is with all of that you just said, they're basically creating a psychological stigma in her mind. Like, talk about, you ever watch a movie where somebody sees something really horrible happen to their family in front of them, and after that they're like just messed up and they can't really function? Now imagine this being a common practice, like taking your husband, and not just murdering him in front of you, but humiliating him. Who's ever heard of buck breaking? Right? Humiliating him in sexually to make, I mean, you want to talk, a man's why do we say Salaki without being vulgar? Why is that part of a man called his manhood, right? Because there is a connection between his ability to breed. That's what makes him a man, right? And when you, or when the slave master would decide, would you utilize that against him, the process of butt breaking, right? To tear him down psychologically through the physical raping, right? What you're ultimately doing is you're taking a man and treating him like what? Please. Like a woman in front of his woman. How can he look at her the same? How can she look at him the same? She can't do it. How can he look at his kids the same? They may not even know what's going on. But it is like, that happens today, man. There's brothers who go up in the prison system, man, who experience all kinds of evil things, man. Innocent brothers who experience these things that are never the same. Brothers who have literally committed suicide. I can't even look my woman in the eye. Please.
George Washington Carver was an example of it. They castrated him just so he would be proper around us.
Wow.
He was castrated.
That's crazy. That was very common. In fact, in Django, that was how they were originally going to kill him, right?
Castrated.
Mm-hmm. They were going to castrate him and let him bleed out. There's obviously ways that they can do it so it won't bleed out, but that's what they were going to do to kill him. But the point being, right? They had to tear down his image in front of her, humiliate her man or the image of a strong man in front of her, and completely, and through the process of quartering and torturing this man, put fear in her. You watch your man get raped, set on fire, have his limbs torn apart, and then watch another black man get beat, scream in agony, till he's a bloody mess, barely alive. What are you going to teach your sons? Please.
Not to go against them, because you don't want them to go for this.
You're going to teach your sons. What do you mean you in the Isupk? You talking about them niggas that be in the corner? Them niggas that look like a bunch of, no. Do you know what's going to happen to you? You think, brother, listen, you go out there if you want to. You go out there if you want to. You're going to end up getting yourself killed. Right. What you need to do is put on them goddamn alligator shoes that I paid all that money for, put on that suit that I bought you, and take your behind to church where it's safe. That's what you'll teach your sons. And you'll teach your daughters, don't be with a man like that. Don't be with one of them hardcore UPK niggas. Because guess what? You in for a world of hurt. You in for a world of hurt because who knows what can happen to him. He out here risking his life. You don't want that. Just get you a good Christian. That's what they'll teach their daughters, and they'll teach their sons to be what? What's the thing you are not allowed to be in here? Please, sister.
Weak.
Right? But
Coward.
you can't be a coward in here. But that's what they were training us as a nation to be. That's why even now, we got to deal with rappers like Waka Flocka saying, I like y'all message, but y'all just too militant. What? I like how many, y'all, tell me I'm lying, bro. Like, we get a lot of these, we be at camp, right? We get a lot of these in the cars.
Right.
Brothers walking past. I like, yeah, y'all keep doing y'all thing, bro. Yeah. We get a lot of that. But then when it comes down to it, we need to, I mean, what y'all saying makes sense, man, but I really just think y'all going about it the wrong way. How the hell are we supposed to go about it? The scriptures say that you can't spoil a man's house unless you bind up the strong man. So what, I'm going to let you bind me up? My will to fight against oppression? I'm going to let you turn me into some kind of choir boy? Hell, la. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to follow Commanding General Yahan.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm going to become a soldier in the army of the Most High.
Right.
And if you're a soldier, you can't be a coward. Whether if you can't be afraid of death, You can't be afraid of any of these. Well, that's why the scriptures say what? Notice how these scriptures start to take on a new meaning when you read things like Wood Lynch's letter. Right? Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will do what? I will fear no evil. I'm not worried about getting quartered. I'm not worried about getting set on fire. The hell do I care? You know what I'm saying? I'll be back anyway. You know what I'm saying? But these are the kind of things that we have to understand. And while people arguing about whether the blood is real or whether it's not real, again, next week I'm probably going to bring out more proof that it is real. But let's start with these facts first. Is anything in the letter a lie? Do we not see the things that we read played out today, daily? Do our sisters not suffer from this thing right now where they look at our men as weak? Like what other nation of women pride themselves on not meeting their men? None at all. You have never seen a post of a so-called Caucasian woman like, man, these white men are just, I can't do it. Ain't no good white. You have never seen it, right? I saw a post running around saying that and I thought about it, like, damn, that's true. Even feminist white women are married. Mm-hmm. That's crazy. But then it be sisters that be on that and they hate black men. Hating black men is big business. I don't know if y'all know this. You know what I'm saying? We talked about the other day, man. Tyler Perry done made a killing off of helping black women hate black men even more. I mean, never mind that